Hey, you. Let's try and cut through the noise for a second, feeling like you're maybe drowning in information, especially with all this new tech.
Oh, yeah.
Get it. And that's really why we started the deep dive.
Mm.
Think of us as, I don't know, your personal research team. We sift through the complicated stuff to pull out the key bits you need. And maybe find a few surprises, too.
And today, you've brought us a really interesting piece. It's Vasiliki Delakiari's article, Understanding Prompt Engineering, How to Talk to AI.
Right.
It's all about getting good at talking to these incredibly powerful AI language models, the LLMs that are just everywhere now.
Exactly. Those super smart AI assistants. It's like having this giant brain the size of the internet ready to help.
Yeah.
But here's the catch, right? You got to know how to ask. Prompt engineering. It's basically crafting those really clear, effective instructions, the prompts. So the AI actually gets what you want and, gives you the good stuff.
It's definitely more than just typing a question, isn't it?
Oh, for sure.
Like the article says, yeah, anyone can chat with AI, but the real skill, the magic, happens when you learn how to engineer those prompts strategically.
So our mission for this deep dive.
Our mission, is to basically give you practical techniques from Delakiari's work. Stuff you can use straight away to get better, more useful answers from AI.
Okay, let's dive in then. When we talk about prompt engineering, what's the absolute core idea we need to grasp?
Well, at its heart, it's about understanding how these models process language, how they think, sort of, and then tailoring your input, your prompt, to match that.
Okay.
Delakiari calls it both an art and a science.
Art and science, huh?
Yeah, because it's not always exact, which is why she really emphasizes that it often takes, some trial and error, experimentation.
Right.
You might need to rephrase things, try different angles to really unlock the best response from the AI.
Oh, that totally makes sense. I've definitely had those moments where the AI just whiffed, completely missed what I was asking. And the article points that out, doesn't it? If your prompt is fuzzy, unclear, you're probably going to get a fuzzy or wrong or just plain weird answer back.
Exactly. It's like trying to give someone directions when you're not even sure where you want to end up yourself.
Yeah. Good analogy.
And that naturally leads us into thinking about prompting techniques. These are just specific ways, specific strategies to structure your prompts to guide the LLM better, to get the kind of output you actually want.
So if someone's just starting out with this, feeling a bit overwhelmed maybe, where does the article say is a good place to begin to level up their prompts?
Delakiari starts with some foundational techniques. They sound simple, but they're powerful. Zero shot, one shot, and few shot prompting.
Okay.
Zero shot is the most basic. You just describe the task, no examples.
Just tell it what to do.
Yeah. The article's example is, classify this movie review as positive or negative. This film was amazing. Simple task description, then the input, that's it.
Straightforward. But what if the AI needs a bit more? Help, a nudge.
Right, that's where one shot and few shot come in. With these, you actually include examples in the prompt to show the AI what kind of output you want. One shot means one example. Few shot means, well, a few examples. Usually 2 or 3 is good.
So you're demonstrating the pattern.
Exactly. These examples help the LLM grasp the format you're after, maybe the tone, the kind of reasoning. It's like showing your math homework to a tutor so they see your method,
We're showing the AI what a good answer looks like for this specific task.
Precisely.
The article had that really clear few-shot prompt example for classifying movie reviews into JSON format. Can you walk us through that? Why is that way more effective sometimes?
Yeah. So imagine you want the AI to classify a review and give you that classification in a structured way, like JSON.
Right. Useful for data stuff.
Definitely. So a few-shot prompt might look something like this. You'd start with the instruction. Classify the movie review into valid JSON. Then you give an example.
Yeah.
Like maybe the text, this movie was absolutely fantastic. And then show the desired JSON response, which would be sentiment, positive.
I see. Example input, example output.
Exactly. Then you give another example, maybe a negative one this time, but a disappointment, followed by its JSON response, which is sentiment, negative.
So you show both possibilities.
Right. And then finally you put review and paste in the actual new review you want it to classify. See how the examples clearly show both the sentiment label and that specific JSON structure?
Yeah, it's very explicit.
You're not just telling it what to do, you're showing it the pattern. And these LLMs are really good at picking up patterns from the input you give them.
Right, it's like learning by example, literally. Okay, so structuring the request, giving examples, are there other ways to kind of steer the AI?
Oh, absolutely. Dall'Acchiari then brings up system, contextual, and role prompting. These are more about giving the LLM different kinds of guidance to shape how it behaves overall.
Okay, tell me about those. System prompting.
System prompting sets the general tone or purpose. A really common one is just, you are a helpful assistant.
Like setting its baseline personality.
Kind of, yeah. It
Okay.
sets a general expectation for how it should interact.
Okay, makes sense. What about contextual prompting then? How does that differ?
Contextual prompting gives the AI specific background info that's relevant to the task at hand.
Right.
Well, the article's example is, you're writing for a blog about travel experiences.
Right.
Giving it that context helps it choose the right language, the right kind of examples, the right tone, everything to fit that specific domain. It's like giving a writer a detailed brief.
Gotcha. And role prompting. That's telling it to pretend to be someone specific.
Well, exactly that. The example Dall'Acchiari gives is, act as a code reviewer.
Okay.
When you give the LLM a role, it tries to tap into the knowledge, the style, the perspective associated with that role. So, yeah, in that case, it would look at code like an experienced reviewer would, critically.
So we can structure prompts with examples, we can give the AI an identity background. But what happens when the problem itself is just really complex, not so easy to explain?
Yeah, for those trickier tasks, the article introduces two more advanced techniques, step back and chain of thought prompting.
Okay. Step back. That sounds intriguing.
It is pretty clever, actually. The idea is, before you ask the really specific complex question, you first ask a related but more general question.
Why would you do that?
It's thought to kind of activate the LLM's broader knowledge on the topic, get its gears turning in the right area, so to speak. Then that broader understanding can help it tackle the specific complex task more effectively.
Can you use the article's example to show how that works?
Sure. So first, the step back prompt might be, what are 5 key principles that make a blog post about a complex technical topic accessible and engaging for beginners?
Okay, general advice on writing.
Right. It gets the AI thinking about simplification engagement strategies. Then you use the step forward prompt and you actually incorporate those principles it just gave you.
Ah,
So you'd say something like, based on the above principles, write a blog post that introduces the concept of quantum computing to a beginner audience.
I see. So you prime it with general knowledge, then apply that knowledge to the specific task. That's smart.
It's a neat way to break down complexity, yeah.
Okay, now, chain of thought prompting. That sounds like it's about reasoning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Chain of thought, or cookie prompting, is about encouraging the LLM to show its work, to explain its reasoning step by step.
Like in math class.
Pretty much. By prompting the AI to think step by step, you can significantly improve its accuracy, especially on problems that need logical deduction or calculations.
Okay.
Dall'Acchiari uses that classic age riddle example. When I was 4 years old, my partner was 3 times my age. Now I am 20 years old. How old is my partner? Let's think step by step.
And adding, let's think step by step is the key.
That's the magic phrase, basically. It tells the LLM not just to give the answer, but to outline the logical steps it took to get there. It forces it to break the problem down.
I can see how that would catch errors, prevent it from just jumping to a conclusion or, like, guessing.
Precisely. It makes the thinking process transparent, which often leads to a better final answer.
Okay, so these techniques are fantastic tools in the toolbox. But pulling back a bit, does Dall'Acchiari offer some, like, general best practices, things we should always try to do when writing prompts?
Oh, yes, definitely. The article has a whole section on that, which is super practical.
Great. What are some of the big ones?
Well, one point that comes up again is providing examples. That's the one-shot and few-shot idea we talked about. Whenever you can, show, don't just tell.
Right.
She also really hammers home keeping prompts simple, clear, and easy to understand. Avoid jargon if you can. Don't make the sentences too convoluted.
Keep it simple. Makes sense.
And be specific as possible about the output you want. The more detail you give about your desired result, the less room there is for the AI to misunderstand or go off track.
Ambiguity is the enemy, basically.
Exactly. What else? Frame requests as instructions, not constraints. Tell the model what to do, rather than focusing only on what not to do. Positive instructions usually work better.
Okay, do this instead of don't do that.
Generally, yeah. Also, control the output length if it matters. You can sometimes set a token limit via the API, or just ask explicitly in the prompt, like write a summary in about 100 words.
Good tip.
And if you find yourself using similar prompts often, think about using variables or placeholders. Makes them much easier to reuse and adapt later.
Those are really solid, practical tips. Anything else that jumped out is important?
Yeah, a couple more things. Don't be afraid to experiment with different input formats or even writing styles in your prompt. Sometimes a small change can make a big difference.
Interesting.
And for a few-shot prompting, specifically for classification tasks, she advises mixing up the order of the classes in your examples
Why is that?
to avoid bias. So the model doesn't just learn that, say, positive examples always come first. You want it to focus on the content, not the order.
Ah, subtle but important.
And critically, remember that these AI models get updated. So a prompt that worked perfectly last month might need tweaking now. It's good practice to revisit and adapt your prompts over time.
That's a great point. It's a moving target, so we need to keep learning too. What about getting specific types of information out, like structured data?
Yeah, for things like data extraction, the article suggests trying structured output formats like JSON or XML directly in your prompt instructions. Ask for the output as JSON.
And that makes it easier to use later.
Much easier to parse and integrate into other systems, yeah. And one final piece of advice really for your own learning process. Document your experiments.
What do you mean?
Keep notes. Write down the prompt you used, which model, any specific settings like temperature, and what output you got.
Ah, like a lab notebook for prompts.
Exactly. It helps you track what works, what doesn't, and really learn from the process over time. Build your own little knowledge base.
That's incredibly useful advice. Now, the article also just briefly mentions configuring the output, like when you're using an API programmatically.
Right, yeah. If you're coding with an LLM API, you often get more dials to turn. Delachiari touches on two main areas: output length and sampling controls.
Output length, we mentioned limiting tokens.
Yep, controlling how long the response is. Important for cost, sometimes for keeping things concise.
And the sampling controls, things like temperature, top K, top P. What do they actually do?
Okay, so those basically control the randomness or maybe the creativity of the output.
Randomness.
Yeah, temperature's a big one. Lower temperature means the AI sticks to the most likely, most probable words. Makes more focused, predictable. Good for factual stuff.
Okay.
Higher temperature lets it consider less likely words too, introduces more randomness. Can be good for creative writing, brainstorming, but might also make the output less coherent or even factually wrong sometimes.
So you trade off focus for creativity.
Pretty much. And top K and top P are other ways to tweak that word selection process, narrowing down the choices to make the output more or less focused. Finding the right settings really depends on what you're trying to achieve with the AI.
Wow, okay. So pulling this all together, prompt engineering is way more involved than just asking a question, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. It's a real skill. It involves understanding these different techniques, knowing how to give context, how to use examples, and even how to fine-tune the output behind the scenes sometimes.
But mastering it seems crucial.
I think so. By really getting a handle on these principles, like the ones in Delachiari's article, you can seriously boost how effectively you communicate with these AIs. You can unlock so much more of their potential.
And it's clearly a process, right? It's about experimenting, tweaking.
Absolutely. As the article stresses, it's iterative. You try something, see the result, refine your prompt, try again. Don't be afraid to experiment.
That seems to be the key takeaway. Keep trying things.
Exactly. Mastering prompt engineering is becoming, I think, a really valuable skill in this world that's increasingly driven by AI. Just think about how much more you could achieve if you can really communicate clearly and strategically with these incredibly powerful tools.
That's a really powerful thought to end on. And that's exactly what we aim for here on the Deep Dive, giving you these focused explorations to help you get those valuable insights quickly. So, if you found this deep dive into prompt engineering useful, please do follow us so you don't miss our future sessions.
Yeah, definitely.
And hey, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't. It genuinely helps us keep bringing these kinds of discussions to you.
And let us know. If there's a topic, an article, a concept you want us to tackle in a future deep dive, suggest it. We love getting ideas from you all.
Absolutely. We're always curious about what you're curious about.
So stay curious yourself and keep experimenting with those prompts.
And who knows, maybe in a future deep dive, we'll look at specific tools or platforms that help with this. We might even share some favorite resources. And just a heads up, some of those might include affiliate links. But for now, thanks for diving deep with us today.